I thought if we ever broke up, I would feel this tremendous sense of relief. I could go back to being myself. But something happened. I fell in love with you or something. And I stopped being a loner.
Dylan, I think that's wonderful.
I think it's terrible.
You can look the other way once, and it's no big deal. Except it makes it easier for you to compromise the next time. And pretty soon, that's all you're doing is compromising because that's how you think things are done.
Yeah, it's the Al Travis Show. Our next guest, Senator Mark Koran. Love having him on the show. Senator, how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Good. I'd like to talk about it again because I got to keep emphasizing this. This is the latest of the frauds. Because when I read about it, it was like, oh, that must have been part of the thing. And it wasn't. It's a brand new thing, a whole new thing. Let's just go through the latest one. Evidently, some $24 million. And what's funny, my friends, well, that's pretty small. We think $24 million being stole from us is just, small potatoes. $24 million was stolen. The state sent to nonprofit organizations that didn't exist with the state. They didn't do the paperwork. They didn't fill out whatever you got to be in a nonprofit. They just said, hey, you're a George Costanza fan from Seinfeld. I think it was the Human Fund. All right. He did a show. He didn't want to give gifts to anybody, so he came up with the Human Fund and then sent cards to his friends saying, for Christmas, I donated $250 to the Human Fund. Made up just crap fund, and he got found as a funny show. Watch it. This is our Human Fund.
Yeah.
You're telling me in the state of Minnesota, no one's job is to look at you must have to fill out a piece of paper. I would like money from you. I'm going to do something. And here's the name of my business. Here's Al's name. Here's my address. Here's my federal income tax number. No, because these didn't even lie to us about it. They didn't fill the forms out.
Now, what I find is interesting is all of this has been highlighted and talked about, yet rarely ever covered by our media. And so I find it interesting. I know it started when Walz literally bounced onto the stage of the national presidential election, but they suddenly started to take an interest, or they couldn't stop, or at least avoid covering that fraud at a level that is unimaginable. And it's all really basic things. What you're talking about is the basic pieces. You're not even talking about the elements of, do you perform any valuable task, even if you're legitimate in your role? Because there has been no reduction in any social ill, which all of these dollars are targeted to. It's only had an explosion of the need under the guise of kindness and compassion and those social ills. They've all exploded. And in this case, most of those, I haven't gone through the list individually because I think most of it was out of the $1.3 billion in cash that they sent to their friends and family in the non-profiteer network. Again, building, I think, right? How many? I think 24. I think there's 24 that we gave them $6 million or more to build brand new facilities. I think that one was 30,000 feet or whatever it was, and that they highlighted. These were named, right? They're named. It wasn't we're identifying a particular need and we decide government should fund it and then go procure those services. They just gave them the money. And again, the explosion. I think 30,000, if you look at their history, probably only a couple $100,000 that they had to run their facilities. And it's an after school program. I've been to it. Now they got a massive building. And what that does then is increase the continued need, because who's going to pay for the operational support? We gave them a $6 million private building.
Yeah. No,
and dozens of them.
See, but what I don't understand is how we get to this point. Am I the last fool in this state that hasn't tried to throw my hand out there asking for free gimmies? That, I put the studio up. I sure could, and just make crap up and say, oh, they'll send it to me. Heck, I don't even need to exist. I don't even have to be a real nonprofit with the state of Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Am I the last one not trying to? The Al's Autism Center. Well, I don't know. I don't know anything about it, but I'll send money in.
Your common sense or pragmatism gets in the way of aren't you doing a good job? Don't you have an interest in making sure the dollars go to what we deem as valuable and should be funded? And they fail at the basic levels. What about the complex issues? Because we do depend on our state government to perform,
Sure.
not only in the corporate environment, but our health, certainly in our health
Sure.
and human services environment. We need them to perform at a high level. And there are people who are, Al, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I know them. They're grossly underpaid for what they do, but it's a small portion of that workforce. But the rest are the simple things, from the Feeding Our Future to the autism. Did you even go to see, did they physically exist? Even today, Al, all of those things are expanding. I've got whistleblowers about autism providers, and they're still providing, and they're still approving many of them with no qualifications, no verification. And they've changed the rules because the people, there are actually good people inside saying, stop this. They're there trying to stop it, but the administration and the people who are making their rules create criteria that are so open-ended, they can't deny approving under background studies or whatever it is to disqualify them or across the board.
Can you not go back and say, the autism thing is an example?
Yeah.
We all know somebody with autism, families affected by it. I have no problem with us trying to help these people out.
Yep.
But when you set up an autism program where the people who will do the helping have no degree in it, they don't have to have anything. Yep. What do you think they're going to do, these kids? I mean, my barber has more licensures about cutting my hair than they do about helping a young man or woman with autism.
Yep.
And it goes from $3 million we think we can help out to $200 million. Did the autism get that bad? Did we even set up? Could we help these people get them off the curve, or what do you want?
Right.
No. It literally set up and said, you want money, give us a name and we'll send it. Can we not at least go in and start putting something down that says the kid needs to exist? You need to show me he sat in your home for 5 hours a week. Whatever.
Right.
We set no minimums down. That's what drives me nuts.
And the other part of it, it shows there's two elements of fraud. And the one we've only focused on are the bad actors of the businesses committing those. But in almost every case, we've got willing and complicit families who are allowing their names to be used. And many of those adult daycare, or not the adult, but the daycares, right? The parents were listed as staff. Well, you're being paid to take care of your own kids, and yet you don't take care of any other kids or parents who don't, who aren't on the take. And they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent and kicked off benefits, period.
100%. The autism one was interesting. So, hey, I want to sign your kid up for autism. Oh, okay, it'll make you some money. Next autism kind of said, you give me your kid's name and I'll give you $1,000.
Right.
Go back to the first one and said, I'll give you $1,500. They were shopping their kids whether they need it or not. You know what? Kick them off all benefits. All 100%. Benefits completely.
100%, Al. And you will eliminate one part of the demand. It's kind of like the drug war, right?
Yep, there you go.
When demand is there, but it's unimpeded and so emboldened, it's still occurring at a high level. And then you hear Joe Thompson, and that kind of a challenge there. They are so starved for resources that they don't have enough. They cannot prosecute the things we know today. And when they finally asked some different questions. Again, the media suddenly has an interest, and I'm trying to figure out
how long.
Well, and for what purpose? They don't do anything that's not purpose driven. But they were asking the questions. Hey, what referrals are you getting from the state of Minnesota for these federal prosecutions? Because they're the only ones who are prosecuting. And he basically said, none. This is all they're doing is an offshoot or the 10 tentacles of fraud schemes perpetrated by the people from Feeding Our Future, contained in one kind of fairly small population, and the varied crimes that they're committing in all Medicaid reimbursable services that Minnesota has led, by the way. And that's what people don't understand is Minnesota, the states put together these programs and bring them forth for approval under the waiver programs. Under Medicaid, the waiver program where you can seek these alternatives and to lower costs and provide better service.
Or hand out money.
But it's to the friends and family, and the harsh view of it, it's feeding their Democrat campaign apparatus directly.
And And you talk about the tentacles, go for the supply and the demand.
Yep.
The other one I go for is there has to be people inside our government. I would look at
100%.
the Minnesota Department of Revenue.
Yep.
Al Travis has a spike in his business in 1 year. Accountant says, hey, you might get audited just because it was a proportionate thing. It red flags. Then, are we cheating? Nope. Okay, then I'm not too worried about it. Didn't happen. You tell me that this gal with the autism center had no business, no nothing, and within 2 years she's getting $14 million literally from the autism program alone.
Yep.
And we don't look at that and say, oh, her business has grown quite a little bit. Oh, it's all on our... You tell me they didn't notice it. No one looks, no one wants to know, and I think there are many people, including the people writing those checks, that need to be looked at and say, I don't think you're necessarily working for us. You're getting paid by us, but you're not working for us. There should be red flags everywhere, and you don't get paid till we check them out. If you check out, here's your check, baby. Thanks. Keep doing what you're doing. That's me. I'm just mad.
And do the basics. It's really simple. The qualification of the people, are they qualified? And then, tracing where the money is out. I've been trying to find out for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And in 2017, $100 million went out of the Minneapolis-St. Paul airport and suitcases of $1 million at a crack through the Hawala process, because there's a community that doesn't, the Muslim community doesn't do banking. Well, I'd like to know what all those, because we can track all the transfers out of this country and we can track all of the Hawala process. They refuse to provide it. I can't get an update. Since 2017, when it was 100 million, Al, what's that number since 2018 to 2025?
So let me throw a couple more out. I think the state auditor has to check. What does the auditor do if she's not auditing these programs and saying, where's that money going? I don't know.
The state auditor doesn't have authority doesn't oversee the constitutional operations of state government. State auditor only audits municipal government.
Okay. How about the attorney general? All this is coming out of the United States Attorney's Office. Where's Keith Ellison going after this on the local level and saying, because here's the thing, we're getting the $14 million lady who got greedy. Yeah. If she would have stayed at $250,000, just made it happen over years and years and years, guess what? We probably never would have looked, because there are people looking for those little fish, 250,000. We got to go after those. I got to go to break. When we come back, more about Attorney General Keith Ellison right after this.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
Hey, Brian, what do you call a lobbyist with a sense of humor?
Me?
Close. Momentum advocacy.
We help clients get real results at the Capitol with strategy, relationships, and just enough charm to make it fun.
From policy wins to media spots, we've got your back.
Nonprofits, businesses, coalitions, we've helped them all.
And we do it with nearly 90 years of combined experience.
Momentum advocacy.
As always, your friends at the Capitol. Learn more about our team at momentum-advocacy.com.
amongst friends. The Al Travis Show. Nothing but talk.
And we've got him, Senator Mark Koran, on the program with his senators. So the Attorney General Keith Ellison, it was interesting yesterday, buried deep down in the news pile was a thing from the Office of the Attorney General. The state of Minnesota's lawsuit against Fleet Farm for negligently selling firearms to straw purchases is going to continue, and how great that was. And I think to myself, I'm a Second Amendment guy, so I'm going to be honest. I own guns. I was trained in the service. I'm not scared of guns. I own them. I want them. But I don't consider myself a gun nut. The binary trigger thing, I've never owned one. I never even fired one. I don't know what it is, so it doesn't really bother me. Okay. The straw purchase thing, I got behind. I think if you're buying a weapon for somebody who should not have a weapon, there should be huge. So call me nutty gun guy. I'm with you on it.
Yep.
But now the Attorney General goes after Fleet Farm, who sells weapons, fills out the paperwork, and is somehow supposed to know this person is doing for ill-gotten gains. They're trying to scare every gun place that sells gun out of the business. This isn't right. Go after the people stealing from me, not 100%. Fleet Farm. Okay, you're behind
100%.
me.
100%. And I think in all cases, especially in a large retailer like that, the individuals, right? That person met all the criteria. They do a background check, right? They follow all of those components. Prosecute the person, but it's another form of Democrat lawfare that they overwhelm the process to move a political agenda forward. And even in this case, I don't think I think all the evidence we've seen, there was no wrongdoing by Fleet Farm at all. You know, and then, because then they could tell, well, they went from one store to another store, a small, right? The likelihood of those things occurring in a small gun shop, you go to those, maybe somebody, but if somebody's buying it legitimately, they've got a driver's license. They've gone through every background check at the federal level, right? And they can do that. But to hold that business that when they did nothing wrong, not one thing wrong, is lawfare. And for that political ideology, and he doesn't care. That's look how many lawsuits have got against petroleum. How many attorneys are operating inside our attorney general's office who are paid by outside donors acting on their political ideology under the guise of our Minnesota U.S. attorney's offices. It's not serving the citizens of Minnesota to try and reduce crime or anything. It's a political agenda.
And again, Fleet Farm's no sponsor of this program. They want to be. Give me a call. But my point being is, if this does this, what does it do to Cabela's? What does it do to the Bass Pro Shop? And those are companies probably large enough to have attorneys to do this lawsuit. But it's the little guys, that sell guns here and there that, wait a minute, we're going to get in trouble if we can't tell what the intent of the person is who's buying it to give. This is the crazy stuff that gets me back on my Second Amendment thing. You got to stop.
And then you go back to the fraud piece of it. So the Minnesota Attorney General's office is a delegated authority for Medicaid fraud. They have a small division, and it's Medicaid fraud from an individual perspective, right? So that's what makes sense. But overall, they have the authority to prosecute all of the other fraud. It's a resource, right, to set the tone and to set the direction. But in each of the agencies, like Health and Human Services has an independent inspector general office. In 2017, when this hit the news waves or bubbled up again, $100 million based on the whistleblowers of child care assistance program fraud. In that 2 years, in 2017, we have 2 full-time BCA investigators assigned to the Department of Human Services. They had not received one referral for investigation. One referral, 2 full-time people. And during COVID, that same agency, Department of Health and Human Services, removed the laptop or somehow got a hold of the laptop of the investigator, the BCA investigator who has access to the internal systems, did not provide access for almost 10 months. They didn't give the laptop back and provide access. And so my point with it is we've got everything in place, but in order for this to continue at the level it is, you have to have many people willfully complicit on the inside at the governor's level. It's He's accountable. Those are his people that he appointed who are driving or not allowing the people who see the fraud to prosecute it. And everybody along that food chain, they have everything and they're still not prosecuting.
Sir, I appreciate you. We're up against the heartbreak at the end of the show. I appreciate you very much coming on and all your words and living it for us. Keep up the good fight.
Thanks, Al. Have a great day.
Right. Senator Mark Koran.